Take a killer's disguise and accessorize. Here's your look at the brand new Trick or Treat Studios Halloween, the 1/6 scale accessories set. Trick or Treat Studios and Compass International Pictures are proud to present the official Halloween 1978 action figure accessory pack. This amazing accessory pack is 1/6 scale and is the perfect addition to your Michael Myers figure display. The accessory pack includes 6 hands, light-up pumpkin, telephone, spruce green coveralls and black t-shirt, Judith Myers Tombstone, and Bob the Ghost costume with interchangeable head and attached sheet and glasses. The Halloween 1/6 scale accessory pack is available right now over on Trick or Treat Studios website. Don't worry, I'll provide the link down below in the video description that will take you on over to their website. And the price that they're offering this for, impressed to see it, it's $89.99. It's under $100. $100 for all the things that you're getting in this set. Whatever issues I may have with, say, Bob's sheet, for example, just the custom coveralls alone. If you were to start shopping around for a pair of custom coveralls for a 1/6 scale figure, you would be very surprised to see what those things alone would be going for. The fact that you do get yourself a brand new pair of coveralls, a t-shirt that goes underneath it, a tombstone, a telephone, a jack-o'-lantern, and so much more. $89.99 I think is absolute steal. Before, I thought we would actually start dressing up Mikey Myers, sort of like you would be dressing a small toddler before you send them out on their day. Although, most of the time you probably wouldn't be dressing up a toddler so that they can go out Halloween night and start killing teenagers with a butcher knife. That would be dangerous. I thought maybe what we would do is look at the individual accessories one at a time and we'll sort of talk about the things I like about it. And in very few cases, talk about some of the issues I think that are plaguing some of the things that go along with this. Why don't we also start things off by figuring out how tall that tombstone is? Because that tombstone does seem a bit big. We're going to go ahead and take the ruler. Careful not to knock it over because it's a little more prone to falling over. The tombstone seems to be a little over 6¼ inches in height, or just a little over 16 centimeters tall. Getting a closer look, though, at the tombstone, carefully picking it up, because like I said, being the fact that it's as high as it is, and what little footprint it has down below, it's more susceptible, I find, to falling over. More falling backwards, it seems, than falling forward. The material that they've used doesn't seem to be plastic, as it has much more of a weight to it. As you can see along the top, like in the movie, it says our beloved daughter Judith Myers. That has been actually etched into the surface and not just simply painted on. No, they have actually added paint on it, but it's only just to kind of fill in those creases and crevices and make it stand out a little bit more against this faux stone finish. Down below is her birth date of November 10th, 1947, and following to that, her date of decease, October 31st, 1963. I do like the little bit of extra weathering that they've added to it, not to mention the little trail of dirt down below where this would have been pulled from the plot, somehow carried by Michael Myers. I would imagine this would be quite heavy of a tombstone to be carrying back to the household. But I do like the fact that they did add this down below. It also helps as well that they've sponged on some additional dirt and sort of the things that would naturally settle on the stone as this is sitting outside. The only thing I would say, though, is, again, I wish there was like a little clip that they could have provided. It takes a little bit away of the realism, but I think at least a clip would have helped stabilize the stone. I mean, even just resting it right now, I can feel it rocking back and forth. This is certainly not the case where I think if you want to have it like in a detolf or on a shelf, the risk is certainly there that the tombstone most definitely could fall over. Again, you just sort of have to get it on a balancing act. Now that I've now said that, I came to get it to stand properly. It is, like I said, a heavier material, and it certainly seems as well, because of how high it is, it seems much more prone to falling over. As of right now, it's just more balancing it than anything else. Just a little bit of luck will guarantee that. But I do wish that they could have provided a little bit of like a corresponding clip or something that could have gone underneath it. I'm going to see if I can find something to stabilize it, because I really wouldn't want to have this falling over inside my detolf. I think it would cause damage not only to the glass shelf, but it would most definitely cause damage, I think, to the tombstone itself as well. Let's carefully pick this up and just put this to the side. And the next thing we're going to have a look at, one of my favorite things packaged in here, is the opener intro jack-o'-lantern. The thing, of course, we see in the opener of the movie when we're seeing the side credits. Like in the movie, it does have the carved-in nose that does have a speculated idea that that looks like a knife, and I could certainly see how that looks like a knife. The coloring to just the pumpkin skin alone, how they have the imperfections in the flesh, does look rather nice. I think the color is a little off, but then again, going back and looking at it in that opener, it sort of does not have a bright orange coloring to it. It sort of has like an off yellowish orange color, and I think they've replicated it well. I could have maybe darkened it just a little bit, but I think the color works quite well for the jack-o'-lantern. Now, it does have a light up feature, but it doesn't involve you having to separate it like the other one that another company had produced. I'm going to do a comparison between the Tots accessory pack and the Sideshow one that came included with their Michael Myers in a follow-up video. Stay tuned for that. Their jack-o'-lantern would have involved you splitting it in half and turning on the button on the inside, which would only have kept on a steady yellow light. This one, though, pleasant to see. First of all, the battery compartment is on the back. It's a little ugly on the back, but really, to be fair, you're never going to be seeing it unless you spin it around anyways. And also the button is there as well to turn it on. When you turn it on, pleasant to see that it does actually flicker. This is the way a jack-o'-lantern should have looked, and not just had a steady yellow light going the whole time. Of the two, and again, I'll do a follow-up video comparing the two companies' releases, this is a much better looking jack-o'-lantern, and it fits scale-wise a lot better with the 6-scale Michael Myers. I think the other one was way too big. You can sort of see as well the mechanics on the inside of it, and there's the illuminated light on the very top of it. And they have nicely as well painted in the flesh coloring of the pumpkin. Of course, if you were to be cutting it out by hand, or if you had yourself a smaller Michael Myers knife, cutting that out. I do like the fact that they made the flesh tone just a little bit lighter on the inside. Really nice looking jack-o'-lantern. Let's continue looking at the rest of the accessories. Anybody want to make a call? The next thing we're going to have a look at is the rotary phone that Linda has when she's first talking, and then of course Michael Myers sneaks up behind her. She had realized, I guess quickly, that she wasn't going to be getting a beer from Bob. And unfortunately, Bob had other plans as well. Now, the thing about the receiver is the fact that this one is actually attached to a phone. The other one that was produced by that other's unsaid company actually just gave you a receiver and a cord. I do like the fact that they actually attached the two, and you actually have yourself a real rotary phone, to the fact that you can spin the rotary around. I think that's a nice touch. Complete with the fact that the phone number is also in there as well, 555-1031, and they have also marked all the individual letters. If you ever wanted to make a call back in the 80s, or even earlier than that, you had to also spell out sometimes the name of the number. Like if it would be like 555 pizza, you'd have to then take the time and spell out each of the individual letters and wait for that to spin back before you could spin it again. I seem to have a little bit of an imperfection there just to the side. You can kind of see right there. It looks like there's a little bit of chip to the plastic where maybe it was removed from the mold. But other than that, really nice looking phone. The thing about the phone, though, is while it does have a stretchable cord, it's not super long, though. It does ask the question, which would be a better way of presenting the phone? Now, Sideshows did release just the receiver and just the cord, which works better in the way of if you wanted to have Michael Myers, for example, carrying the cord around or holding the receiver in his hand, you don't have the additional phone hanging down below. I like the idea that at least you get yourself a full phone instead of just imagining that the phone is just on the other end of it when clearly it isn't. The downside, though, is if you're going to have Michael Myers holding it with Bob's sheet on, or not quite accurate to the scene, but at least Michael Myers holding the phone, you're unfortunately just going to have like the phone dangling underneath it. And I think that's going to cause stress where the cable may eventually remove from the phone. It may just rip right out. Still don't know which way I would have rather preferred to have it. Maybe just the phone and the receiver. Although I got to admit, having an actual rotary phone is a nice touch, and I'm glad to see the Trick or Treat Studios included that. Though the pack doesn't come included with a butcher knife, something that I wish Tots could have packed along with all the other accessories, simply just because there has been a problem in the past where some of the butcher knives have broken right at the handles. Full disclosure, I did pick myself up a second Michael Myers. This was the knife that came included with that 78, the second 78 that we're going to use for comparisons in a second. But right here was prone in the past of breaking right at the handle here. This is probably the way that the blade is attached to the part of the handle. My original 78 Michael Myers, to be fair, did break. Broke right along there. The new one that I have, along with the second 78, as you can see, is still fine. And this fits perfectly into his hand. Now, you can either have it along the top here, or most people, I'm sure, will probably have it displayed down below and just feed the handle through. And you can have him holding the knife that way. Let's pull this out. One thing I did notice, though, and it involves me having to reach off and bring in the original 78 Michael Myers. The hands are very similar, but you can see how there is an improvement on the newer hand versus the original one, which was a little more smoother looking and had less of a defined feature, defined detailing done to it. It also had a lot more speckling to the surface of the plastic, where the newer hands don't have as much of that. There's also a big vein that runs up the top of the hand and a lot more defined like muscles and bones underneath the hand, something that the original hands didn't really have. That's what the comparison is between the two for front on, and then this is what it looks like on the inside. yeah, a lot more refined detailing that they've done to the interior palm, which the original hand didn't do as well. Now, the original hands also were prone to breaking off those handles, especially the bottom area. If you fed the knife through the bottom, it seemed almost as if the holes for these hands weren't as big. Just to compare it, though, just flip this around. You can definitely see that they've already improved how much more mileage there is to work with. This hole is a lot easier to fit the handle through than the original handle, where the hole in this hand was a little more of a circle. This actually looks more like it actually even looks like it's fit perfectly for the handle. And that's probably one of the reasons why it's so much easier to fit the handle through. So clearly it looks like Trick or Treat Studios are listening to the fans' criticisms as some of the things that came packaged initially with their Michael Myers. So I like that. One other hand that he comes included with, which looks almost very similar. As you can see, it has a bigger grip to it. This hand also has fingers separate from the thumb, where you can see this one does have the thumb down. This is the hand for holding the receiver, and does involve me having to bring the phone back here. Now, you can either have this displayed with Bob's sheet. I know it's not 100% screen accurate, or you can have it just displayed with Michael Myers. But at least with having the fingers be separable from the rest of the thumb and the palm, is that you can then get the receiver of the phone. I don't know why I'm so struggling doing this right now. There you go. You can get the receiver into Michael Myers' hand, and you can actually have a phone conversation. He doesn't do so much of the talking, more just listening and heavy breathing. Still, though, you can already see one of the issues here. Maybe they could have easily also packaged just the receiver and just the cord, so you didn't have the phone just dangling there. I mean, it's a long, lengthy enough cord, and it does have a little bit of additional spring to it. But if you're going to have the phone like up by Michael Myers' head, for example, you're easily just going to have this phone just hanging around. And I don't know if that's 100% safe for the phone. The other hands he comes included with as well as some relaxed hands. Go ahead and pick those up right now. And again, the detail on these, much more refined, a lot more detailing also to the wrinkles, the fact that they've also added the vein work, and the fact that you can also see the bones underneath the skin. Do a comparison of that. I'm going to grab the original hands that came included with the 78 Michael Myers. Very similar, although just as you can see, I mean, it's night and day. You would be able to pinpoint, I feel, right away the differences. This is the newer hand. This is the original hand. While this one did have the veins underneath the skin, I think this one is defined a lot more. You can see much more detailing done to the skin. You can kind of see really how the hands would be able to move in each of the individual fingers. And even also as well, the fingernails, while not painted, they at least look a lot more detailed than the original fingerprints or the fingernails that came included with the hands. We're going to spin these around so you can see the other side. This is the original one. This is the newer hands. These hands are a little more minor of changes, but the changes certainly are recognizable. The last thing he comes included with that wasn't packaged along with the original 78 Michael Myers is grabbing hands. Again, good for creeping up behind Linda while she's on the phone and strangling her. Not something that came included with the original figure, but glad to see that they include it. Again, it seems like Trick or Treat Studios are really listening to their fans. And smart on their part, something I did mention when I think we were looking at the original 78, just release the individual figure to test the waters. And now that the waters have been met and realizing that there is a big public demand for Michael Myers 6-scale figures, now is really a great opportunity to be releasing all these add-on accessory packs, something to add on to the existing figure. Moving then on to Bob's glasses. This is something we're going to come back to later on into this review as we actually put Bob's sheet onto him. Bob's glasses look pretty good. Things you will want to be careful, of course, is of the sides of these because they are very, very brittle plastic. In fact, I think on one side it looks like I almost already have a fracture. You can see right there, it looks like it's come loose. A little lip of plastic that's sticking out there as well. It does have the colorings of both the red and the black that have been added in there as well as plastic lenses. You can kind of see my finger running behind it. We're going to come back to this, of course, because we're going to want to talk about Bob's sheet in a second. The last thing we will want to do is talk about the coveralls. Now, first of all, Michael Myers, the brand new accessory pack, short of a little bit of hair that's on there, comes with a brand new t-shirt. One issue that collectors did have with the initial release 78 Myers is that it wasn't really even a t-shirt. It missed the sleeves, and the whole back section was basically just taped onto his frame. I'll show you guys how that works in a second because we're going to want to dress this guy up. But this one actually gives you not only the sleeves, but also a more filled-in collar because it had the other one had a much more bigger opening. The material also, as you'll see in a second, the other one was more of a ribbed material, whereas this is more of just a regular neutral sort of t-shirt material. It's very thick, actually, the type of thicker material that they've used for the t-shirt. We're going to put that on in Michael Myers for a second. And also the last thing before talking about, of course, Bob's sheet, is he also comes with a brand new pair of coveralls. These are the brand new coveralls that came included with this accessory pack. This was the original coveralls, a very stripped down Michael Myers, or at least one of them, so you can see the difference between the two. Now, the material wise, if this is something that anyone was curious about, I'm just going to put the two sleeves together so you can see. Like, the seam work looks to be almost identical, and it also seems as well like the material is about the same. This material I found was a little too thin for Michael Myers, the original one that we got, because it sort of just hung on his body. This one is not that much thicker, but it seems like it's got just a little, it's the type of material that they use that isn't as soft as this one, if that makes any sense. Even though the material seems just as thin, you can definitely feel like this one has a more textured vibe to it than the original. It looks like the detailing and the way that they've been sewn together are exactly the same collar, same zipper, same pocket open on the one side, flap on the other. It doesn't look like anything is really different other than just the change of material. Now, speaking of the change of material, in the description and the way it was advertised, they mentioned that these are the spruce green coveralls. Looking at these, I feel I'm reading more gray than I'm actually reading spruce green, depending on who you talk to and depending on when they saw the original 78 Halloween. Some people would say that Michael Myers coveralls were originally blue. Some would say that they're spruce green. And sometimes people would also even say they're sort of more of a dark charcoal color. Now, these actually look a little more closer to being gray than they do spruce green. Even though, again, on their site, it actually advertised them as spruce green. So I wonder if there maybe was a change in coloring that they decided to go with, or if there was an issue when they were producing the coveralls, because it doesn't seem as much spruce green to me as it does look more gray. So we're going to go ahead and change out Michael Myers' outfit. This is the stock blue coveralls that were originally packaged along with the first 78 release. First of all, we just want to unzip this. And what I wanted to do as well is drop this down the shoulders on both the sides, because I wanted to show you guys what the original t-shirt looked like. Just bring this down the sleeves as far down as you can get it. And you'll see right away, the original t-shirt was a little more ribbed, as you can see the material right there. You can also see the exposed tape on both the sides. It's missing the sleeves. And the whole back section literally would have just had the material wrapped around his head and then sort of just taped off to the side. So you didn't really get a full t-shirt happening here. It really didn't bother me because, to be fair, I was never really going to dress down Michael Myers on my shelf anyways. I was fine for the fact of really the only part you would have seen anyways, this section right here. Though you can see the color basically cuts right across the top. Comparing it with the new t-shirt, of course, this one does have the sleeves, but you can see as well, like, the neck is much different. It's a more rounded top, and they've actually sewn the top of it, so it actually looks like the neck of what a t-shirt would look like. And of course, being the fact it's a complete t-shirt, you're not going to have the whole back section like this. What I will do is just take the tape and remove the top of the t-shirt. It's actually just stripped down Michael Myers, and I'll show you what the body looks like underneath. Removing the rest of Michael's clothes so you can actually see what the figure's body looks like underneath and how the individual articulation points work. Still, this original body didn't have the double hinge joints, which I think they did improve upon when we had a look at Art the Clown. One downside, unfortunately, to the costume that he was wearing for all this time is it's left behind a few stains on the plastic. Again, the coveralls are going to be covering that up completely, just head to toe. I've already taken the liberty as well of removing the boots. The boots are something that would have to carry over from the original figure that you have, as the original boots are not packaged along with this accessory pack either. I've also gone ahead and taken the liberty of also removing the hands. I'm not going to bore you guys by dressing up Michael Myers, but literally I'm just going to bring the arms up here and take down the brand new t-shirt that we get packaged along with this and sort of just get the arms and navigate them into the sleeves. For those that want to rush through this part of the video, don't worry. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing this. We're just going to quickly get the starting of it going, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's completely over. But just get it around his arms, get it around his shoulders, and of course, much crucially required, get it also around the ball joint. There you go. Once it's over that part, just literally you're going to slide everything down the arms and get it over top of his head. And then we can go ahead and put the coveralls from there. Taking the figure's new coveralls, I've already started things off by unzipping it. We're going to take then the figure's legs and feed them inside. And then you just want to slide them all the way down the legs. You'll still notice that I've left the boots off. We're going to put those on last. And then we're going to go ahead and bring those arms back, slide them then through the sleeves. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side as well. Don't forget, we get the benefit of the brand new hands as well that we can put onto the sockets of the forearms. I'm going to go ahead and use these aggressive hands for the time being. Plug in the first one, slide the sleeve down, and do the exact same thing on the other side. I really love to look at these brand new hands. A closer look again so you guys can see what those look like. And again, we're just going to fit those onto the peg and slide down the sleeves. One thing that doesn't, again, come included with this are the original boots. So we can take those from the figure that we got before. And we're just going to slide those on. Just bring the leg up just enough. Pop those onto the ball joint. And then just drop the leg down. Do the exact same thing on the other side. Plug it into place. And pop that, slide that all the way down. The last thing we have to do involves us having to, of course, take Michael Myers' head, because he's not going to be much of a threat right now decapitated like this. Here's the original Michael Myers' head. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous looking head sculpt. And we're going to go ahead and plug that into place. We're going to want to just bring the collar out of the way. Pop that down onto the ball joint. And then sort of just bring the collar up around Michael Myers' head. And there you have the finished figure. And one of the beauties of actually picking up a second 78, it gives me then the chance to show you guys what the new figure looks like with all the tweaks made versus what it looks like unaltered. This is my original 78 Michael Myers. Nothing has been changed to it. Still has the original stock hands, and sadly still has the chip on the end of his nose. I'm trying to see if I can find a way to fix that a bit. But this is what it looked like before. Compared next to it is the new altered Michael Myers with a brand new pair of coveralls and a much better pair of hands, if you ask me as well. Now, I'm still from the school that I think Michael Myers wore blue coveralls. It really does depend on which formats. As the movie's been remastered and released in different formats, sometimes the coveralls in the Halloween movies that I've seen looks honestly more like that spruce green teal color. Other instances that I've seen, it looks kind of more of an off-gray color, and even still, when I've seen it again, it looks like he's wearing blue coveralls. It's always an ongoing debate between collectors and fans of the film. Still, though, looking at the original pair of coveralls, it reminds me even more so that the coveralls that are now packaged along with the accessory pack don't in fact look spruce green, but they look more closer to just being gray. I went back and I checked online to original images of the accessory pack, and yeah, it does look like the original coveralls were supposed to be more of a spruce or off teal color. And that's not what we're getting here with this accessory pack. What you can now see very clearly is that the coveralls will also more read gray and less spruce green. I wonder if there was an issue when they were producing the coveralls in the factory that they couldn't get the colors right, because I really would like to have seen what this could have looked like in that true spruce green coloring. Again, when you're really looking at pictures of it online versus now in person, the coveralls don't look at all like spruce green. In fact, they look more close to being a lighter gray, if anything else. On to now talking about Bob's sheet. Now, there's two different approaches that they could have made when it came to attaching Bob's sheet. They could have easily just had it as a standalone sheet material that would just drape over top of Michael Myers' existing head. The downside to that is it won't really conform properly to his face, and it's just going to basically hang over top of him, almost like an umbrella. The other option is the option that Trick or Treat Studios went with their release of Bob's sheet, and they actually did adhere the sheet to an alternate head sculpt. And you'll let me know down below what you guys think of it. Picking Bob's sheet up right now. First of all, I want to say positive points about it. The material that they've used, while you couldn't easily say that that's a sheet material, it does have more of an elasticity to it. And actually, I think it works better to give it a more weighted feel, and it would be more naturally draping over top of his body. Here's the issue, though, with the head sculpt that they decided to go with. First of all, I'm just going to peel the sheet away so you can see what's working behind the scenes here. Essentially what it is it's a cast 78 Michael Myers head. They've smoothed the top so it's a little bit lower down when he's wearing it. And you can kind of see, for the most part, it is basically just an unpainted, molded 78 Michael Myers head with a few little sandings away that they've actually already done, just kind of smooth away the head. But then what they've done is they just glued the sheet to the front of the face. I'm going to bring the sheet around so you guys can see what it looks like here on the other side. Now, the thing about it, though, is from what I understand, one of the issues that they did have was the fact that the glasses don't sit properly on Bob's head. So then gluing it to the face sort of gave a little more of a defined shape to the side where the glasses could essentially sit not only on the tops of the ears, but along the bridge of the nose as well. And I understand that because, I mean, even like taking the glasses right now, they don't sit well at all on the head. Yet, if anything, have to sort of just do a bit of a balancing act to kind of get the glass. I'm just going to hold them in place for the time being right now. But they really don't stay well enough on his face. I don't even know if I'm actually able to even get the glass to stay in place for the time being. They could have done a workaround of either just gluing the glasses right onto the head and just releasing it like that. Maybe one of the reasons why they didn't do it is the risk of if there was pressure against the glasses, it probably would have just shattered the frames. But or they could have also added like little clips. on either side and put holes on the either side of the head where you would have just been able to attach the glasses that way. The glasses isn't as much the issue as it is the way that they've molded it to the face. What they've done is just they've glued an adhesive across the entire scope of the face and sort of just then stretched the material around it. If you have seen the original 78 film, of course, when he's wearing Bob's sheet, what's the matter, Bob? Got your ghost? If you have seen that scene, it really sits quite loose right here. I mean, it's more fitted onto the top just by the weight of having it draping down over top of his head, but it certainly isn't confined or defined around the shape of his face. You can see his nose, you can see his mouth, you can see as well very detailed looking ears. This only gets the result of actually just taking the fabric and just stretching across the face while it's glued. It also has distorted the whole shape of the eyes, where the eyes should actually be a little more lazier. Can't really work with it right now, although I have heard you can take a hairdryer, run a few passes over to try to soften the adhesive underneath it, and then try your best to try to peel the material away from the plastic mask that's underneath it. For me, I'm going to probably try that, because while I do like the material that they've used, it does certainly ruin the effect of having it look like Bob's sheet. Funny enough, it actually looks more like Bob's sheet on the back, just the way it just hangs off of it. From the front, of course, it's just way too stretched and too defined against his face. What I might try to do is just leave the glue along the top, try to free the glue around here and see if I can peel it away. I wouldn't want to do it right now without first heating it, because all I'm really going to accomplish is just ripping the material. And I definitely don't want that. The thing about also Bob's sheet is it's not the proper length. One thing that they have added to the bottom of it is a wire frame. You can see how they've sewn it into the bottom seam of the sheet material, which I guess one of the reasons why they've done it is so that you can kind of crank and curl it, so you can kind of get the desired look that you want. Unfortunately, it does sort of result in it looking more of a bell shape than having it just draping straight down. Even if you just compare it without me actually yet putting it onto the body, you can see that it doesn't quite sit completely flat straight down. And it also should be low enough that it drapes onto the floor, as it covers Michael Myers' almost complete body, other than maybe perhaps just the boots you're seeing down below. But yeah, the sheet unfortunately just isn't the right length. I like the material, just not super crazy the way they've glued it against his face. And again, taking the glasses, it's more just luck than anything else of trying to get the glasses to rest onto his head. I might even just take a dollop of glue when I've just fixed everything. I'm going to follow this up, I think, in a future video where I'll let you guys know how successful I've been to try to free this material from the head. And once I do that, I think I might just ultimately glue the glasses on both the sides, so it's just at least going to stay in place, because as of right now, these glasses just don't stay properly. Anyways, let's go ahead and remove Michael Myers' head. We're going to put Bob's sheet on. You guys can see what it looks like on the figure. To get on Bob's sheet, all we're going to want to do is, first of all, remove Michael Myers' head from the ball-socketed joint. Then take Bob's sheet, just kind of peel back the layers of the sheet material, find the socket joint, and line everything up to the ball joint, making sure, of course, you're not pinching the collar in the process. When you feel enough of it is there, you can just drape the sheet back over and sort of work with what you have to here. I'm just going to kind of move the figure back so you can see what it looks like. And yeah, I mean, because it does have that wire frame, you can kind of fold over, even like folding over, unfortunately, the frame on the bottom. I feel like it's still adding, I mean, like this one side seems a little longer, and maybe if I stretch it out, but like you can see, like the sides I feel are almost the proper length. This side here, again, is the proper length. But unfortunately, I think because they've glued so much of the material here up at the face, it has then decreased the length of it. I'm just going to put it down so you can see what I'm sort of talking about here. There we go. See how like right here and here, it seems like it's the right length, but something gathered here and sort of has just pulled the material up. And I think what they've done is probably because they've glued the head, stretching across the face has pulled this part of the sheet up. Because if they didn't do that, I feel like the sheet would have been the proper length. And then again, taking Bob's glasses, which is a very difficult thing to try to do, put them just over top of his... Wow. I was surprised at how easy I actually just did that. I have had so difficult of a time trying to get those glasses to stay in place. But this is basically what it looks like with Bob's sheet altogether. There's definitely, I think, room for improvement. I'm not going to completely say that this part of the accessory pack is a wash, because I think there's maybe an opportunity for me to go in there and fix it. I can certainly understand. I think even Trick or Treat Studios have acknowledged that there was an issue producing Bob's sheet. I'm going to go in there. Like I said, I'm going to run a hairdryer, just sort of soften up, see if I can warm up, I guess, that adhesive that's on the face, and see if I can stretch down the material. If I succeed, and I end up improving it from what we're seeing right here, then yeah, I'll do a follow-up video and you guys can see what it ends up looking like. Just again, to slide this one over carefully and not to knock the glasses off in the process. I'm going to then just reach off to the side and once again bring in the original 78 Michael Myers. I might even just be compelled, if I can go in and eventually fix Bob's sheet, to not maybe then pick up another 78 Michael Myers, picking up another one. Well, again, the price point on these guys, too good, first of all, to pass that initial release or that first purchase. But then I think all the other purchases afterwards. I mean, for me to pick up a second Michael Myers with just a little over $100, if I do succeed in fixing some of the issue that's going on with the face there for Bob's sheet, yeah, I might probably pick up a third Michael Myers so that I can actually have one displayed in the blue coveralls, one displayed in the newer coveralls, which really aren't 100% spruce green, and then one to have be displayed with Bob's sheet. I do like the idea that they gave the effort of putting Bob's sheet in there, and I did like the idea that they actually did glue it to an alternate head sculpt, because just simply including a white square of sheet that you just literally just drape over top of Michael Myers' body, it wouldn't have worked either. It wouldn't have sat flush against his face. It would have, I think it would have just basically looked like it just belled out, and I really didn't want that either. I think they're sort of along the same idea. I think they have the right proper approach and just didn't succeed with the execution of it. Bob's sheet as a sheet material is more weighted and it works better for the figure, but I think gluing again to his face is really where this went wrong. If you exclude that end of it, I think the accessory pack is well worth the price, even if you're not crazy on the fact that the coveralls come across more gray than spruce green, which again I think is what the way they were supposed to have gone with coloring the coveralls, and something unfortunately got miscommunicated where they ended up producing gray coveralls. But even just Judas Tombstone, even just the jack-o'-lantern, even just the phone receiver and the swappable hands, I think is well worth the price point that we're getting here. And again, for a price of what the coveralls go for, even if you decide to pick up a second accessory pack and just experiment with colors, I think if you properly get the colors that were matching that to the movie, you might even be able to stain the coveralls to get something closer to that spruce green the way he has in the movie. Again, debated. Some would say it's more of a darker blue. Some would say it's even more of a darker charcoal gray. But I might even consider picking up a second accessory pack and see if I can experiment with the colors. First of all, I want to play around with Bob's sheet, see if I can fix some of the issues with the face. And maybe, yeah, I might see if I can pick up another accessory pack so I can see if I can maybe stain those coveralls to give a much more richer, sprucer green, the way that they were originally advertised. I still have Michael Myers here displayed with Bob's sheet on his head, and you can see he's got the phone receiver in his hand. I know sticklers to scenes, yes, would tell you what's going on right now isn't 100% legit to what happens in the movie. Here he has long since strangled Linda to death with a coil phone cord. Can you, by the way, strangle somebody to death with a coil phone cord? I know we don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, but I would think the coils would allow for a little more extra space, and you wouldn't be able to get a tight enough grip around the neck. Am I spending too much time asking about a coil phone cord strangling somebody to death? Anyways, though, this isn't really 100% the way it looks in the movie here, and it would have had the sheet pulled off and heavy breathing into the receiver by this point of it. But you can see this is how you can display it with Bob's sheet. Bob's sheet, yes, admittingly, is a bit of a shortcoming to this accessory pack, the way that they adhered it to his face. If you see, though, on the image on the back of the packaging there, and I'm drawing everyone's attention to that, that's sort of the way it should have looked. And I can understand gluing it maybe to the top of the forehead and just letting the rest of it drape down from it. One of the issues I think was getting the glasses to sit properly on his head. And yet still somehow I'm getting the glasses to rest there. I don't know, just Lady Luck seems to be smiling down on me that those glasses haven't fallen off yet. But I'm going to take a hairdryer. That's the sound of a hairdryer, by the way. I'm going to run a few passes to see if I can heat up that glue and see if I can stretch away the material that's against his face to try to get it a little bit closer to the way it looks like on the back of the packaging. Speaking of the back of the packaging, right next to Bob's sheet, you may also be seeing a spruce green coverall. The coverall color, the one that you actually get physically in this set, seems a little more reading like gray than it does spruce green. Again, images online when we were first seeing what this accessory pack was going to look like, the coveralls did in fact look a little more sprucer in green color and not as gray as what we're getting right here. Again, you can run the option of either trying to stain this for yourself, or you never know, Trick or Treat Studios may also release a follow-up set that may give us a fixed bob sheet and a more accurately colored spruce green coverall. You never know. Still, though, I think the price of admission here is the fact that we get all the other things that weren't packaged along with the original 78 release, like, for example, Judith Meyer's Tombstone, the rotary phone, the light-up, flickering, I might also add, jack-o'-lantern that we see at the beginning of the movie, and also much improved hands that would definitely change the look of your Michael Myers from the one that you got with the original release to a much better-looking Mikey Myers with brand new hands and, like I said, all those other accessories that go along with it as well. For that and that alone, $89.99, which is the price point that they're offering this set for, I think is well worth the price. Whatever issues, again, you may have with Bob Sheet, just if you were to exclude that altogether, if you were to axe that from this accessory pack and just look at all the other things that come packed inside, $89.99, I think, is a great price that Trick or Treat Studios are doing for a set like this. And this is really smart on their part, too. Releasing those initial figures that test the waters with collectors, and when they realize that there is public interest for 6-scale figures of Michael Myers, then just release after the fact accessory packs. They've already done it now with 78. Let's hope they also follow suit and do it with the other Michael Myers that they have also released, like Part 4, Part 5, and 2018. I have a harder time of thinking ones I would do for the 2018 release, but certainly for Part 4 and Part 5. Part 4, you could easily have released a bandage head sculpt that Loomis sees inside the mechanic restaurant. You could also release, for example, the shotgun, which Michael Myers does kill one individual with in Halloween Part 4, and for Halloween Part 5 easily include like the sickle or scythe, for example, and they could also include the brute mask. There's definitely possibilities going there for Trick or Treat Studios. Smart, again, on their part, release the initial figures and then just release very inexpensive accessory packs that you can either decide for yourself to add on to your existing Myers, or if you really have no interest to get these accessories in the first place, you're not paying that extra price for the initial figures that have extra accessories packaged along with it that you're really never going to display anyways. If you guys have picked up this set, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of the Halloween 1/6 scale accessory set from Tots Trick or Treat Studios, or based on this review and this review alone. Is this something that you guys would like to pick up to go alongside your Trick or Treat Studios Michael Myers from the 1978 Halloween film? If you guys are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, you can do a couple of things for yourself. First of which, you can hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notification as a second option available so you get those friendly reminders of whenever new videos are popping up. And speaking of which, of things popping up, at the very end of this video, popping up shortly, you may also see a playlist for Trick or Treat Studios of other things I've reviewed for the company, if you guys want to give that a gander. Lots of stuff as well coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.